Welcome everybody to Earth 2 Comic Cast. It's your boy Mo Crosby. I am back with James and Stephanie, and we are back to discuss Star Trek Discovery Season 3. It's been a week. It was a two-parter. We ended the first one saying we needed them to have, what was it again? We needed something to do with the crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need a Michael-centric episode again. Because we got that one, we didn't need them to just give us back to back. Because I thought we were gonna get another Michael episode before we got the crew involved, but I was wrong. I was very, very wrong, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of people, they're glad that I was wrong. I wasn't bummed that it wasn't a Michael episode. I thought it, the natural progression of things, because they wanted to show time passing. They'd give us Michael, and then they'd jump into the crew. We'd like at the end, and then the next episode would be the crew. But they went straight into the crew, and apparently, I'm gonna jump ahead for a second, just a little second. It's been a year, but by the time the crew gets in there, they're also blown off course. The biggest thing to me was the fact that as soon as they came through the wormhole, the ship had sustained major damage. And I think I was my answer to that, because I saw criticism that said that wormhole suit was built better to handle that than a ship that weighs however much that ship weighs, and going through that wormhole with gravity and everything. And I think it's said in the episode, when you came through, or there was a release of certain energies, and so if you watch the episode, you would know that yes, Discovery was not built for this, and and certain other things. But what did you think? That's what I thought about the first like 2 minutes. What did you think when you saw Discovery again? Like when you saw Discovery and you saw the crew, what did you think? Were you excited?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest complaint from last episode was, where the heck is the crew? I don't care about Michael.
So as soon as you saw the shit, you were like, yes.
Yeah. Well, I was also really nervous in the beginning recap, where it was all about the crew, and I was like, if they remind me that the crew is separated and then don't give it to me, I'm gonna be livid. But they did. They delivered. So
yes.
It was good.
James?
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited to see the crew again. I think it's good to do the Michael episode and then do the crew separately, because it kind of builds that tension and desire.
Right.
I also don't have any problems with the ship being majorly damaged.
Okay, yeah.
I have no problems with that. There are, if you do like, I mean, I'm not like a huge Navy expert, but like there are storms where you need a specific kind of vessel to be able to handle the choppy water. And if you don't have the right kind of large boat, your boat is going down.
Right.
That Discovery crashed does not bother me in the slightest.
And to be fair, Michael crashed too.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. She kind of doinked super hard, but I guess her wormhole suit is built better. I mean, she was hurt. She was hurt. You had to, like push through the entire episode. There was another big thing, a question somebody made on the ship, and it was like, no, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. It was I think everyone was like, oh, all right, it's, I think they were sounding off, systems are down here. This is down, this is done. And someone said communications array is down. And the next line was, we can't call Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I saw someone point out that they hated that, and I thought it was more so out of concern for the fact that they came through without her, or they don't know where she is. Again, we don't know what happened inside of the time stream or whatever. Because apparently she was pulling them, she was towing them, right? Mm-hmm. And once I think that broke up, and that's how everyone got mixed up and messed up. But I didn't necessarily hate that line. I just want to get that out there. I just want to know what you thought about that. We can't call Michael. What did you think?
I didn't think about it at all.
I felt like it was a way to establish immediately that why Michael couldn't find them.
Right.
There's more information that unfolds later at the end of the episode that it's actually been a whole year, but it establishes that their first concern is Michael. Like, if we're knocked around, what happened to her? Did she even make it? And then also, like, it kind of clued me into this episode is going to be about why Michael couldn't get a hold of them, instead of a continuation of where Michael's story picked off.
Yeah, so I thought immediately concerned, and then the next thing, as you said, was, okay, I guess, well, the other thing I thought about was, I guess Michael's definitely not going to be anywhere close to this. She's not going to be in this episode at all, because, now we know your communications is down, and you can't call Michael, so and the main thing was to get to Terra Elysium, right? And no one knows, we don't know what Terra Elysium looked like. We don't even know if we're on Terra Elysium. If Michael, I don't think she was on there. Wherever she crashed, I don't think it was that. And wherever, they crashed was a different planet. And I think it was just concern and confusion. And, a lot just happened. But yeah, let's get into the characters, because I think that's the best part of the episode was, it was a very character focused episode. I'm going to start with Detmer. Concussion?
More.
Okay, because
she's
out of it way too much for me. I didn't like that. I kind of didn't like that they didn't someone didn't push.
Yeah, but also she's not just human; she's cyborg. And so I'm glad that her neurology is fine. But what about the little computer chip? Did something get knocked loose?
Because apparently, I think one of the doctors that said she's not concussed.
Yeah,
and she was too, for me. I've experienced one.
Yeah, same.
When you get your bell rung, and I was looking at the way they filmed how she was feeling.
Get your bell rung is the sorry. Oh, that's so apt. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and because we don't know. Everyone looked like they got bounced around. And I was just really I was actually more concerned for her than anyone else, because she is your pilot, or for lack of better, she's your
yeah.
And it just felt like no one, they cared about everybody else. Oh, they cared about Jet. They cared about, of course, they cared about Stamets. Tilly even got some care, and Tilly got a lot to do in this episode. I was super happy for that. But no, everyone just seemed to walk past her.
Well, I feel like that happens in real life too, though. Like when you're in a crisis situation, you evaluate all of the crises going on. And I feel like what happened with Kayla was not necessarily that no one recognized she was in crisis, but that they deprioritized her crisis to the larger one that was going on. And that's when it's most dangerous. I'm going to make an assumption that you're okay, or that you will be okay long enough for me to deal with this over here. And then that situation is more critical than you assessed it to be. And then it's going to go sideways really quickly. So I think in the next episode or two,
we should see
something very dramatic is going to happen with her.
Because Hugh did walk past her and looked, and okay, I guess she's on her 2 feet. She seems okay.
Yeah.
And
there's that moment on the bridge where Saru tries to talk to her and she doesn't hear him, and everyone is looking at her.
It happened a lot. As soon as they landed, when they landed and they tried to talk to her, and it was she wasn't being responsive. And then that moment again, close to the end, not being responsive. And I was like, okay, well, something, I hope, as you said, later on at the end, 2 episodes, we get more into that, because it'll be very interesting to see, her human physiology is okay for the most part, but then the cybernetic implant and whatever that is, that might be, oh, look who's here. That might be where
it's a
Patrick Day.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Is this working?
Yes.
No, it's not. That might be so we're in. Okay, so I guess let me reverse back for a second and try to get Patrick caught up. Hey, Patrick.
Hi. I'm getting things technically working. I'm having technical issues.
But you are working because we can hear you.
Yeah, I know. Well, kind of. Go on. Okay. I'm listening.
No, we were trying to bring you up to where we were. So a couple of things that happened. The ship's damage. What did you think about that? Did you care for it? Was it something that you thought was a huge? I think he's.
Did I care about the ship damage?
Yeah, was that something that you were like, I can't, like, why would the ship be damaged? And is that something that you thought about at all?
What do you mean? They were in a big battle.
Thanks, Patrick.
What?
You're right. They had just come out of a battle, and but it's a starship, so. And
they crashed on a planet. Of course, the ship is damaged.
Okay, great.
Check mark for Patrick.
What was the other thing? Oh, we can't call Michael. That was like one of the lines, and as soon as it was sounding off, all the systems that were damaged, and as soon as someone said communications is bad.
Yeah, that was as I said, that was like a thesis statement. I feel like about the previous 2 seasons. I can't remember the exact line, but it was something like, we can't call Michael. We're gonna have to solve this problem ourselves. And I was like, exactly. Like, this is what everybody wants is for you not to just get bailed out all the time by Michael. Yes.
You say he did? I think he totally just added the second part of that line to it.
No, because I quoted it to Anthony. They literally say, we can't call Michael. We're gonna have to solve this problem ourselves. I'm gonna find it. I'll find the quote.
Okay.
Yeah, do that.
Prove us wrong.
Yeah, because it didn't. Well, or maybe it didn't sound like that to me. I don't think it was we can't call Michael. We have to solve this.
I'm gonna find it.
All right.
But yeah.
So take your time. No, take your time to find that. Where were we? Where we were talking about? Oh, Detmer. Yeah. So, Patrick.
I got it. They said, We can't call for help. We can't call Michael. That's what they said.
Oh, so you did add the second.
You did add the second part.
All right. But
you sounded so authoritative when you came back with that.
The way they said that was like, we can't call for help, and then they were like, we can't call Michael, and it was like, aha, exactly. Like, it just felt like
you don't have compassion for a woman flying through time and space by herself.
It didn't come off as concern.
No, that's not. But like, it's more like that crew has been bailed out so many times by Michael that they like their first instinct was, oh no, Michael, there is no Michael to figure this out. And it was great.
So that's how it came off to me.
I felt like, and we'll probably get into this. I don't know. I have a very short time, but one thing I just want to say is, like, Kurtzman said that they were finally moving to an ensemble style show. And I felt like this episode, I was really worried after the last episode. And I felt like this episode said, no, really, we're moving to more of an ensemble, normal style Star Trek. So it's kind of crazy that Picard, which literally has one person's name on it, feels more like an ensemble show a lot of times than Discovery.
Because
I'm excited.
800-year-old John, you can't use the 800-year-old Patrick Stewart to push a show. I don't think that would work. Okay, so I think the next question was, we're in the characters now because this is the best part of it, right? This is what you want. And we're talking about, we're assessing the damage, and it seemed like when everyone was assessing everyone, they just seemed to like just overlook Lieutenant Detmer. Did you notice that, or am I just
like the fact that Detmer's like freaking out?
No, the fact that she may have had a concussion, a space concussion.
But it's also on Detmer, in my opinion, because Detmer is totally like playing it off. Detmer,
he's too
confused. At no point did Detmer say, like, I need help or things are not right. Like, the whole time she's like trying to just like fly casually and be cool. And so I don't know. Like, I definitely like seeing what she's going through because we're seeing it from her perspective, especially like Stephanie said, like when she's in sickbay, they're like, no, like, please check this woman out some more. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the outside, look like, not knowing she's going through that, she's not actually putting forth a lot of tells or communication to be like, oh, like something's up, right?
She might not know.
She might not know. It's true.
Like we went on a really crazy hike last year, and we got home, and I didn't realize how bad I was until I blacked out. Like I thought I was just a little sore. I thought I was fine, and then I woke up on the floor.
Like, I had that happen to me on the hike too. Like I got down off hiked Mount St. Helens, and I did not realize how bad, like, twisted my ankle was until we got to the car, and then it was like pain.
I think she's still in shock.
Yeah,
like whatever internal damage happened in her head is preventing her from processing correctly, so she doesn't even know that she needs to be asking for help. The lag time is so significant that it's like she's still in that initial moment of damage even at the end of the episode.
Right. It followed her throughout the whole episode.
I know the obvious thing is like it's something to do with control, but I kind of hope it's not, and I kind of hope it's more like she went through like, and I have to remember back, but she went through like a lot of psychological trauma in the last season. It would be way more interesting if she's just like dealing with psychological trauma and how it has physical, implications.
Yeah, I was hoping that there was some kind of glitch in the time slip, which like had, how sometimes you can like pick up frequencies that are, what are you doing, Patrick?
My neck hurts.
I can't portrait my, like, because I'm on my phone, it won't like do the portrait thing.
Is it locked, Patrick? Just unlock it.
Oh, maybe it is.
Yeah.
8 months into quarantine, and we're still handling it. But anyway, so it's like I'm really hoping that she picked up something that the rest of the crew doesn't know. Like it like knocked her receptor into a frequency that shouldn't be heard by her. Like I don't know how to elaborate on that more, but like maybe she's tapping into something that contributed to the burn, or like there's something going on that is going to start talking to her or influencing her, or she's going to get memories that aren't hers or something like that.
That would be interesting.
It would be interesting if she's kind of the connection into all that information that's on the ship too.
Ooh, I like that.
That's good. I really do want them to play a lot with her implant. Because there's so much to play a lot. Because if Lower Decks, we had the one character with it, and they did a lot of, they played a lot with it, and it was very interesting, even all the way to the finale. Was it the finale episode?
Yeah.
So even all the way to that, they played with that. So it'd be nice to see them actually do that on a live action show. The next characters I want to talk about is obviously Jet and Stamets. Like, honestly, I think they're just in love. Like, they're in love with each other, and I love them. I love them.
Their little like B plot 100% was carried by them as actors and their interaction, because what was actually going on for the plot was
lame,
boring, useless, and lame.
Yeah, I think.
But they were so interesting as characters interacting. Like, we enjoy seeing them on screen so much, you almost just didn't care. You're just like, I'm just happy to watch you. I don't care what you do.
Right, because honestly, whatever they were saying, I didn't really care too much for it. I felt like he was definitely gonna fix whatever he needed to fix, even though he was gonna strain himself.
Stamets just keeps Stametsing.
Yeah,
it's like,
and
Stamets, don't do this thing because you're really hurt or injured or sick or something. And then Stamets does it.
He does it, and so that's kind of like whatever. It's just Stamets doing Stamets at this point. But Jet and Stamets together, I think more is all I'm gonna say is we need more.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. On
We
those,
need Jet in general. We need to see Jet like make some more Frankenstein people.
Right.
And she's like a main character now.
Yeah.
She's like on the, because before she was like, it would, if you looked on like the cast list or whatever at the beginning, whenever she was on an episode, it'd be like featuring or whatever. And now she's just like a normal cast member.
I did like, I know that it was like from a technical standpoint, those were really boring scenes, but I did like the contrast of like repairing a starship is not glamorous. It's boring. It's crawling through tiny Jeffries tubes and hoping you don't pass out before you get to the broken part.
But Lower Decks,
that's like Lower Decks.
Lower Decks makes it so much fun. Because like the one character we were just talking about, the guy with the implant, that's what he loves to do.
He actually enjoys that stuff.
Yeah, so
please give me menial tasks climbing through.
Right.
Yeah, which is a good segue to that dumb line. I don't remember who said it, but it was like, well, the internal sensors are down. We're not going to be able to assess the damage. Get on your hands and knees and crawl around your ship.
Right.
Take a look. Like, what do you think that they did before there were internal sensors? Like, you do not deserve your rank if you can't look at a machine.
Before we get to Tilly and Saru, I want to talk about my crush, Michelle Yao. Let's talk about how. Okay, but then there's that one character who came from the Enterprise, the lady.
Yeah, the breathing apparatus lady.
Yeah, her.
Yeah,
and I didn't care for her.
I don't know why she's there. I know that
they
took a moment to
explain
it.
Cool
yeah, they did. It was like a moment. It was because the other
she
person
was like
died,
in the Arium episode though, and they even called back to that.
Yeah,
so.
She was like, "Well, I'm here because Arium died, and she died a soldier's death," and I'm like, "Okay."
I think she's there to be like kind of the hard ass. Like there wasn't really a hard ass because the real hard ass of Discovery died in like the second or third episode of the entire show, right? Or fourth episode. It was like eaten by a tardigrade or whatever.
Oh,
but, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and so I think they're like, we need like the next generation era war for the
she's like a security officer,
era,
right?
like exactly. So I think they're like, we need this kind of character, and so I think they
have to do something with her.
I mean,
honestly, for the most
her
part,
alien species or whatever, I forget what it's called, but it's an interesting species.
Okay.
So.
Well, they have to do something interesting with her ASAP because up to this point, I seriously, I didn't care for her last season, and I still don't right now.
They didn't do something barely with Worf on Next Generation almost the whole show. It wasn't until he went to Deep Space Nine so they don't actually have to do anything with her.
I mean, they could just use her to kill off Giorgio, and then the show will be out there.
Giorgio is finally important.
Giorgio is perfect.
I felt like season 2 they didn't know what to do with Giorgio.
I like the first Giorgio way better than Mere Giorgio.
Oh, of course, you're supposed to.
We got like, regular Giorgio.
If you're feeling that conflict, then you are feeling it correctly, because that's exactly how Michael and Saru feel when they're around her. It's like, this is the person that raised them, mentored them, loved them, in Saru's case practically saved him, right? Like all these things. And now there's this evil mirror universe version of that same person, and it's got to be like a swell of emotion, confusing emotions that those two feel.
I love Giorgio. I think she was a badass in this character. However, she still reminds me that whoever is writing this show are sexist jerks, and I'm like, all of the trailers for season 1 of Discovery were, look, you finally get a woman of color captain. Like, let's appeal to the women and the POC communities to bring them back to Star Trek. And what did they do to her? They killed her off so a white human could come back and take over Discovery. Wow. Like, I'm still salty about that.
Kind of that
we get her back as an evil person is still insulting. As badass as she is, as much as I enjoy her as a character, it's awful, and they need to stop doing stuff like that.
But all right, so it's a little unfair, because we've kind of talked about this before, to put the sins of the original showrunners on the new showrunners, right? Does it make sense?
But I feel like a lot of people do that, though. A lot.
I know, but it's like a completely new group of people running the show that had nothing to do with season 1.
Oh, you're talking about season 1.
But they're like, yes, admittedly, the bulk of that weight is on season 1 writers, but they're still carrying that in season 3.
Yeah,
they can do something with her storyline in season 3 to kind of like reclaim and redeem that. But based on episode 1, I don't think that's going to happen.
See, I feel like they didn't know what to do with her character in season 2. And there was talk even about her having her own show at some point.
Yeah, she was supposed to be on section. I thought she was supposed to be on section 31.
Yeah, they were like going to do a whole section 31 show or whatever. I think that got scrapped for the Enterprise show, like the new Enterprise show. So anyways, they didn't like know what to do with her, I feel like, in season 2. But season 3, based on the world they're in, suddenly, and we see this in episode 2, she's going to be a pretty key. She naturally fits into the plot of the show now. Let me put it that way.
That's the thing.
She has a purpose.
You're saying she naturally fits in. I think they're going to push her badassery so much because, again, if we talk about her for a quick second, she was on the ship and all she did was one-liners, like zingers, like, oh, I don't, like, and then she gets off the ship, miraculously. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about Tilly before we get.
All right. I see what you're saying, Mo. But this is the start of the season. If there's no character progression for her by the end of season 3, I'm on board with you. Right now we're kind of creating a baseline of where these characters are. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But okay, so I'll ask this then to everyone: what kind of character progression do you see Giorgio going through? Because I don't see it. Maybe
I want Giorgio to see the merits of what the Federation was. In other words, now that she's back in kind of a dark universe, I want her to see the merits of why. Because what she never saw was the formation of the original Federation, and it's like sometimes the people who build the thing, they have the dream, and the people who then carry it on, they kind of lose why that dream was important. And you kind of saw that, right, in like where the Federation kind of was going, especially by the time of Picard, right? And so maybe with the reformation of a new Federation or the ideals of a new Federation, maybe I'm hoping Giorgio can start to see why that is a positive thing for the universe. I hope, rather than just her being a megalomaniac, dictator, crazy woman by the end of season 3. If she's still that at the end of season 3, I'll be pretty disappointed.
I could totally get behind that. What I want to see is her to go out on airlock, but I like your idea better.
Wow.
I had no idea.
That could also happen. She's probably the most expensive person on the cast, so
I don't think she's going to stick around with Discovery. I think we'll get some like mutually beneficial arrangements where Discovery is set up in this new timeline, and which also sets her up to go off on her own, and then we won't see her anymore.
I would think this is like I agree more so. I agree I'm with Stephanie. Like I don't think she's gonna get shot out of the airlock things, but
I don't think she is either. I'm just telling you what I want.
I'm just worried. Stephanie. So she's really expensive, but I also am worried that like the producers might think she's part of the draw to the show.
No,
I'm not saying they're right, but a lot of times I find showrunners of shows like this overestimate the value of star power. Let's put it that way.
Well, I would like for what Stephanie said to happen, where it's a mutual thing. It's like, okay, I don't fit with you guys, and I'm just gonna go do my thing, and then once in a while, like maybe like season 4, she drops by like for 2 episodes and bye, like, oh, bye, bye.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
But what I do think could happen if it does, because I think the Section 31 show is still happening. I'm not sure.
I don't think it is. I think it's dead.
We can look that up. If it's still happening, I could see her finding a way back. If they want her on the show, I could see.
Yeah.
I could see her finding a way back and coming back to run Section 31.
I think me and Anthony are really happy the Section 31 show.
But
Section 31 as not a mystery kind of takes away the. I mean, they've already. Yeah, I'm happy.
Section 31 has been. Everyone, if you watched Enterprise and cared about Enterprise like I did, you would know about Section. It's not new for anybody. It's not a mystery because in Enterprise it was a thing. Anyways, Tilly, Saru, love them. I love the fact that Saru felt like a captain, like a commander. He's never really felt like a commander. He's always felt like a subordinate. He finally somehow had his head held high and his shoulders back, and
Do you know why that happened? You know why?
Go ahead.
I'm so excited about Saru. It's because he's not a prey race anymore.
Right.
He went through that transformation, and for the first time, we're seeing what the effects of his character is because of that.
Right.
It's so exciting.
The best part about him for me was he tried diplomacy for like a little bit, and then he was like, "No, I'm not giving you anything." And when he said it, and he like said it and meant it, I was
I feel like he truly became a captain in that moment where he was like willing to sacrifice his entire life to protect his crew. Mm-hmm. Like that's in Star Trek, that is the captain. Like it doesn't matter the personality of every single captain because we've had a huge range of personalities, but they all have that one thing where like they will sacrifice their lives for the sake of their crew. And so Saru, like kind of in this episode, crosses that bridge and like truly becomes a captain. I'm really excited about Saru because he's like the first ever Star Trek captain who like earned it like on screen, which is cool. And even that when again we talked about the showrunners, not like those people are all gone. when they cast him, it wasn't their intention for him to ever be the captain of the ship. So the actor also earned this role as being like the captain, which is kind of really cool, unique thing.
Call him captain.
Star Trek.
An official, like you're just calling him captain without the official like title being disposed on, right?
Who's gonna say he's not the captain at this point?
Giorgio.
Giorgio has no authority.
I mean, she technically is the highest ranking officer on the ship.
Nobody cares about Giorgio.
No. So let's go back to Saru. I was over the moon when Giorgio showed up in that bar and they had that moment, and instead of his little frills going up, and because every other time,
yes,
I believe this is true in season 1 and season 2, every time there was a moment of danger, you get a side shot of Saru freaking out and having to like contain himself, and instead he sees that danger is coming and he puts himself in the equation and is a total badass in that fight.
Yeah, he took out.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. And then he like told off somebody who had his quills sticking out of his arm. Like, BA, totally boss move.
Yeah,
He's also like the first non-human captain. Like I know we see Vulcan captains, we see
really
random
captain. Okay.
What?
He's the captain, Mo.
He is the captain
of Discovery. I mean,
Giorgio
may not have the rank.
Didn't follow. All right, so Giorgio didn't follow his orders, but when they were in that room, she at least like took the orders. Does that make sense? So she didn't like say, "Hey, shut up, Saru. I'm in charge here." She may have tried, but Saru was clearly the boss.
Right.
So the crew is not going to follow anyone other than Michael or Saru.
Yeah,
they're just not.
Patrick would hate if they follow Michael. So
I would also hate if they follow.
If Michael shows up and Michael's like, "I'm now the captain," Anthony would probably throw a rock at his TV.
Yo, and speaking of moments where Anthony would have thrown a rock at his TV, I know for a fact at the very end he threw a rock at his TV when Discovery was trying to take off and they couldn't.
He was. I talked him down off that cliff when he was a little upset. He's like, Michael saved him again. And I was like, Michael didn't save them. They thought Michael was the bad guy, and Michael turned out to be the good guy. So Michael saved them just by not being what was expected. They would have gotten out of that ice. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, Starship.
You think Star Trek would have gotten out of the ice by just being Star Trek? Like, or do you think Michael Stamets
would have been like, I'm gonna plug in some mushrooms into this ice, and then it would have been fine.
Everyone knows that ice's greatest weakness is fungus.
There you go.
Right.
I definitely think they would have been able to get out of it. They might not have gotten out of it that night. It might have been detrimental to the ship, but I think they would have gotten out of the situation eventually.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense that Michael arrived. She would know what to look for. She's got a year of honing the new environment. It makes perfect. And she didn't get there immediately, right? It was a full day. We're not sure how many hours. Like, it makes, yes, the timing was very convenient, but it makes perfect sense to me that she was there when she was.
So, Stephanie, one thing that me and Anthony talked about that we were wondering is you really wanted to see the struggle, but now with a year jump, does that get rid of some of the struggle? Like, Michael's just going to be able to tell him, oh, this, and this, and then
I am worried that is what's going to happen. That, she's up to date on everything going on in the world right now, and she's reconnected the Federation and blah, 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 blah. That would be very disappointing. But if she spent the last year with Book just like acclimating and hasn't made a lot of progress, I think there's hope for that. But I will be very frustrated if she can just like seamlessly plug them into this new Starfleet. And
that's the thing. I personally don't think that's going to happen. I don't get that. That's not the vibe I get, because I don't know if you do, but I do watch on the next episode,
I watched it too, but I don't even remember what it.
Yeah, it didn't give me the vibe of, hey, this is, Michael's going to just be supreme leader and tell them what to do and have them acclimate. No, it gave me a vibe of there's going to be struggle. Now, I don't think I would hope that they don't. It will probably be like I think from the vibe of that on the next episode of Star Trek, I get, hey, Michael will tell you what has happened inside the year that she's been there. But you guys are still going to have to deal with and live inside of this, and that's what I'm getting from it. There's still going to be struggle. You know, it's not going to be like it's.
Yeah, I think I just don't want Michael to be the solution to all the struggle. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So like every time they're like, oh, da, 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 Michael's like, oh, da, 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 and then they just move on. That would be disappointing.
I think it depends on how she. What do we learn about the last year?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's quite likely that she will have learned enough about the world that she's not comfortable really reinstating the Federation.
Right. And I think that's what it's going to get to. I did, however, like Saru and Michael when they, you know, when she came on screen and he was like, you look.
They showed way more joy than I was feeling in that moment, so it helped.
I liked it. I thought it was funny that Saru couldn't bring himself to be like, "Hey, Michael, what's going on with your hair?" Like,
I read that as more than that.
I saw so many people on Twitter too, like proud of themselves for calling that Michael showed up, and I was like, that was like the most obvious tell I've ever seen in a television show ever. You're not Sherlock, okay?
The normal thing in any interaction like that is bring the hail up, like do the hail.
Yeah.
And he just sits there for like 10 seconds. I don't know how long it was, but it felt like a minute.
Remember they did the same thing when the Enterprise first showed up? It took them like, I don't know, 2 minutes to finally hail the ship.
I'm so starstruck. I don't remember what button to hit.
So all in all, the characters that we did like Saru, Tilly, Stamets, and Jet, and everybody else, right?
Yeah. Tilly was great. Did we talk about Tilly?
We haven't talked about Tilly.
We haven't talked about Tilly. So, Patrick?
Tilly, I mean, the best line almost, I think, of the whole episode was when Saru said that Tilly is the perfect kind of first contact to his civilization.
And then it proved true. Like immediately.
And then it proved true. She was able to like totally, and she just, it showed that her joy, this also happened in Lower Decks with one of the characters, her joy and passion for Starfleet is a strength, not a weakness.
The medical officer?
Yeah, the medical officer. Yeah. And so so that was like super cool, and I think the right direction for Star Trek, and kind of moving away from this, like, I don't know. I realized that in the end, Giorgio's kind of Hard Knocks also saved them. But I do like that generally the newer shows are starting to lean more into the fact that, like, goodness is good. Do you know what I mean? So, and so I just really appreciated that. And it's fun to watch Tilly gain across one episode, even gain some new confidence and like character development. And so again, that plays into the idea that we're going to have an ensemble cast that like we get to grow with rather than like one character. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I loved her. I think she was the best part of the episode. I love that she, like Patrick just said, like that like micro evolution that we get to see in one episode where she's totally panicked, but by the end of that bar scene, she's the one who smashes Zara over the head with the bottle. Like, that is not behavior Tilly season 1 or season 2 would have been able to pull off. So that's dope. But I also love the backdrop that she gave Saru in his style as a captain. So when they're walking from the ship to, you know, whatever they're trying to find, and she's sputtering and sputtering, and she's like, I'm sorry, like I talk blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I know, keep talking, ensign. Like, that establishes that this is a captain of compassion and empathy. But when the moment calls for it, he teaches her how to put a lid on it. So
he knows. He used to live a life of fear.
Totally.
So he has.
And so he's going to help Tilly grow in that regard as well. And I think that we don't get that kind of emotional intelligence from Starfleet captains ever. I don't think that there's ever,
Patrick, ever.
I don't know what that is about, but
it's nothing.
Your favorite starship captain is like the worst possible evidence of that. No, not Archer. The what's his name? Discovery season 1.
I don't. You see, the thing about Lorca.
You love that guy, and he's literally the opposite of what Seth just described.
And I love Lorca, and I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt that he was, because again, we should give him the benefit of the doubt because we never met Prime Lorca.
So why you can't? That's a completely different character.
Based off the before we got to the mirror part of it, I think
what's happening.
So you're saying that we should judge Mirror Universe Lorca based on the fact that maybe Prime Universe Lorca was a good guy, but we don't actually know.
Let me tell you why I know he was a great guy, because everyone, when they see Lorca, they just have this affection towards him. It's like, oh, hey, Lorca. It's like, hey, guy, like, how you doing? And, no one ever cussed him out or said anything bad about him until they figured out he was the bad guy. Right?
No.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean as much.
We literally just said that it was great to see a captain with compassion. Lorca is the.
I think he was, and I think Mirror Lorca tried to be compassionate, and
What show were you watching?
I don't know. I think you guys aren't like.
So I'll give you this, Mo. Prime Lorca might have been a compassionate captain.
That's what I'm saying.
We never saw it.
But what I'm saying is, Mirror Lorca tried, and he failed. He failed. Hear me out, bigly. But he wasn't the worst captain we've ever seen. Okay, he wasn't the worst. He may not have been the best, but he wasn't the worst. In the history of Star Trek captains, he wasn't the worst. That's what I'm saying.
Who was the worst?
I didn't want to know, because now he'll go on a thing that we just don't need to go on. The question was in my mind, and I was like, I'll ask this in chat later.
Yeah, the Star Trek captain is James Tiberius Kirk. End of story. But
I think if you drop the movies, you could make a case for Kirk. But Kirk goes through the character development he needed to go through in the show in the movies. But go on.
Oh, okay. So I was joking about. I've always been joking about Lorca. I can't believe you guys never saw it. I don't really care for the guy. I only do that because Anthony doesn't like him, and
because you're a troll.
He's not here. Why are you trolling us for things that Anthony likes?
He's going to watch this. He needs to see that.
He's not here.
He's going to watch it.
Anthony is like in your mind, dude. He's like in your mind. He's got it.
Free.
He's gonna watch this. He's gonna watch this episode.
Doesn't matter. Oh my gosh. Okay, back to Tilly.
Yes,
amazing. Great. I love her. I cannot wait for more of her.
And Saru made her a more deep character, and she made Saru a more deep character, and so that's why their interaction matters, and it's great.
But I do,
I'm excited.
Give her though. I do appreciate the confidence that he gave her to know that she can be herself again. Like you said, she was talking, and she was just herself, and it was great. It was great. Sorry, that's me. But yeah, that was amazing. And did we cover everybody?
Pretty much. That's fine. I mean, we didn't cover the new characters, but I don't know how much you want to talk about them. It didn't matter that much.
What new characters? Oh, you mean the family?
They mattered as far as
the
plot,
episode.
as far as characters.
And I think that's so to that point. I think that's the original Star Trek vibe that you said we're gonna get. We're gonna get characters that we're never gonna care about ever again.
This episode was not my favorite Discovery episode, but it's like top 5, maybe even top 2. But it is the most Star Trek episode. In other words, you could have taken a different crew from a different Star Trek and put them through this situation, and it would have fit. The plot line of this episode, with the exception of jumping through time, which maybe even could have solved at the end of the episode, could have happened in Deep Space Nine, could have happened in Next Generation, could have happened in Enterprise. And so it was the most, like, you just felt like you're watching Star Trek in a way that Discovery sometimes has been so meta plot oriented, like, so get to like the next part of like the big plot thing, that sometimes it's like lost that a little bit.
Right. I'm guessing
you said except for jumping through time. which Star Trek doesn't have jumping through time as a regular thing?
Well, but they don't usually stay.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's why I said it could have even fit in any other Star Trek if at the end they got back, essentially.
Right. So because we got a kind of an away team mission type thing, is that where you're getting at? And that's why this felt like the most.
It had an away team, and it had like a problem to solve. It just had a lot of the first contact, people trying to figure out what like being the Federation means in this new context, right? Working through those problems, solving things with science. Apparently it's a thing, like a idea right now at MIT, the whole like matter building machine, which totally makes sense to me in a world where like you can just like press a button and whatever food you want comes out. Of course you should be able to like 3D engineer whatever materials you need to build a thing by like 900 years in the future. So yeah.
Okay.
I really liked also one of the biggest like moments for me was in that bar when Zara, is that his name? He shows up and he deduces that they're time travelers, and then there's just that look of panic across everyone except for Saru and Tilly, because they all instantly realize the ramifications of what they've just done. But Saru and Tilly at least have not figured out by the end of the episode why Cal got killed. They don't know that their existence is illegal and that they're asking for help is illegal. Like that is the struggle. Not that I want people to die.
They don't even know about the
struggle.
They don't even know about the burn yet.
Right.
No, they don't know about the burn.
They mention it and they never explain what it is. So nobody on that ship even knows about it yet.
I think it was mentioned. It was just a mention, and I think it was mentioned because dilithium was mentioned. And I think that's just the only reason we heard about it in this episode. I did like when Zara came in and they zoomed in on his boots and he had the spurs, and I was like, okay.
No,
but that's also Star Trek. That's totally something you would see in an episode of Deep Space
We
Nine.
did not go 930 years into the future of a show set in the future to have fashion full circle back to the Old West.
I'm just saying.
I loved it.
That's another part, and this is the part that's hard for me to quantify. But another part of what made it feel like Star Trek was there were little
stupid.
Yeah, there were little tacky things. Mm-hmm. There were little tacky things that occurred.
And I think that, I'll agree with you.
Even though, like, when they first make first contact, and he's like in his hood, and he's all like, and he just like turns away, and you're like, yeah, that's Star Trek.
Right.
Like, heaven forbid the guy like pull down his hood and be like, hey guys.
Right. And you have to question, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And every Star Trek show that I've seen, they always follow the person no matter what. You could be walking straight into,
and that like teleport thing's dangerous. Like, I mean, it makes sense from a security standpoint. It's like suddenly you're in a place and maybe there's a ton of people with guns pointed at you.
Right. I still don't know how I feel about the portable transporter yet.
It depends on if they use it too much to like.
It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be the goober of the show.
It really could be. Have you ever
It's gonna come in handy a lot.
Have you ever seen that?
Come in handy in this episode.
Have you ever seen that meme that like every single Seinfeld episode could have been solved by a cell phone? Like every problem in Seinfeld could be solved by cell phones. I'm worried that this could just like solve so many problems that normally Star Trek already solved so many problems with transporters, and then like this is gonna like take it to the next level. At least there are some rules they've already established about like water and some other stuff. So
right, but it's gonna come in so handy a lot, and it's gonna upset me because it's like.
Plot twist, they're also fueled by dilithium, and so they don't understand that it's a super rare resource. They're going to use it like 20 times, and then the 21st time they're going to be like, "Oh crap, my crystal's spent."
Right. Wait, don't they have the one princess right from the shorts? Didn't her people like manufacture something to turn to?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't have that on the ship, do they anymore? I can't remember how that all ended.
Yeah, because something with Tilly happened. And
I thought she was going to go with them. It would have been. I liked her character.
That would have been nice.
Anyways, I think we've spent a lot of time talking about this episode. We even got a shout out to Captain Lorca. Shout out Captain Lorca. I'm kidding. I'm done.
I gotta go in like 5 minutes. So
I will never talk about Lorca again. But yeah, so thank you very much, Patrick, for making the time. That's a lie. Thank you very much, James. Can't wait to talk about episode 3. Till then, thank you for watching. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of Earth 2 Discusses Discovery Season 3.
Narrowly avoided any embarrassing stories.